New decade, new future, new firm. Two teams driven by a burning desire to be the best.
Suddenly began to realise that Alec Ferguson and Jim McLean were serious bidders for titles and cups.
Aberdeen had been champions in 1980, whilst Dundee United had won 2 League Cups. But could they both, in one amazing year, take their game to the next level?
We really believed that we could go to Glasgow and win.
One thing was certain, champions Celtic weren't going to roll over and give up without a fight.
I just reminded the players of what people were going to think about them if we didn't get up off our backsides and do something about it.
Oh, it's turned in. It must be Nicholas.
Two new firm managers, ruthless in their pursuit of personal glory. Nothing would stand in their way. Not the old firm, and certainly not each other.
Oh, there's a wild kick.
We didn't fear anybody. We respected everybody, but didn't fear anybody.
If anybody's going to talk old firm, it's Aberdeen, nobody else.
Who would triumph and who would fail? Who would rally for the Cups, League and Europe?
If they could have beat us, that was one game they were wanting to beat us.
It was just one of these days that no one will ever forget.
1982, the season of the local heroes.
We will not disguise our purpose, nor betray our principles. We will do what must be done. We will tell the people the truth, and the people will be our judge.
Different days in 1982. Not really. A Tory government, a divided country.
There is only the end.
Foreign conflicts. The Pope popping in, unemployment and strikes.
What do you want? Purposely! When do you want it? No! 2-1.
But in football, things were definitely different. It was a case of out with the old and in with the new. And the press, well, they'd come up with a unique term to describe these interlopers challenging Glasgow's hegemony.
The new firm, right? They couldn't even let it go. They couldn't just let them be Aberdeen and Dundee United. They somehow always had to connect back to the old firm. They were the new firm. And of course, they were the guys that were shaking down the castle and wanting to change everything.
Beautiful chance for United and a beautiful goal by George Fleming. Nice one, drops it, Stacken scores.
They had a kind of common cause. We've got to show the old firm that we can match them, we can beat them. It was like McLean and Ferguson against the world.
There's a kiss and there's a cut.
The football landscape had certainly changed, thanks to Aberdeen and Dundee United. Yet the original firm weren't exactly helping themselves.
Rangers were finishing 4th and 5th in the league, you know, so in a sense, it really was only Celtic that, if you like, were kind of defending the honour of the old firm. Not many people would associate the old firm with honour, but that was how it was.
I took Celtic at a difficult time for a manager, to be quite honest with you, but it was something that I couldn't say no to. I knew the quality of players that Aberdeen had at Pittodrie. I knew the quality of players that Jim McLean had at Tannadice. So from that point of view, it was disappointing to me to think that we couldn't go into the market and maybe pull in a few players that would have been good performers for us.
Incredibly, McNeil himself contrived in part to his own downfall. He'd been key to Aberdeen's resurgence whilst manager of the Dons in 1977, 12 months before Fergie's arrival.
I really enjoyed the year that I had up there. You know, when I think back to it, I'm not sure if I should have left.
That was a huge loss for the club because the directors saw McNeil as a great saviour, as a man, a leader who could win things for them. And of course, his signings, many of them like Gordon Strachan and Steve Archibald, were key to laying the foundation for Alec Ferguson when he came in.
We were a band of lads
who were desperate for one way or another, with a manager who was desperate for one way or another to be successful.
He obviously knew what he had, and he put a lot of belief in a lot of younger players who maybe, well, the vast majority of the managers would never have been able to come anywhere near.
He found maybe a devil inside us that we had that he brought out of us. Sometimes it wasn't nice, the devil that he brought out, but it worked.
And work it did, as Alex Ferguson and his new team delivered the Dons fans the holy grail of the Scottish League in season 79-80.
The hunger has always been there. As a manager, it's been achieved. And maybe the players would tell you, thank goodness I wasn't playing with them. They maybe wouldn't win anything.
They'd stature at the back, they'd flair in midfield, and they'd penetration up front. That's exactly the chemistry you need to get success.
He actually, in a sense, took apart 100 years of history. I mean, he created a climate in which the old firm were scared of them. You know, that, I mean, that's just never been known before.
But as they say, it takes two to tango. Joining Fergie was another maverick of football management.
Dundee United, of course, were a club in the 70s, 60s and 70s under the lovely Jerry Carey, who was a very laid-back, pipe-smoking kind of chap. And then wee Jim came in with the madness.
He was the hairdryer before Alex Ferguson was a hairdryer, and they both were notorious for that.
Can I swear? He was tough, yeah. I mean, his thoughts were, you know, you always say, look, if you ask for 100%, you'll get 80, so I'm looking for 120%. I need 100% effort for you all the time. And that's the way he was. He was so intense about the game.
Somebody said to me really early in my career, that, do you not think you're a wee bit hard on him? I says, no way. I says, I'm hard on him.
So there's a good ball, there's no offside. Paul Sturrock could kill the tie right now. I think he will, he does. That is it.
Jim McLean and, of course, Walter Smith were these great people who were man managers, sometimes in a dictatorial way, but somehow had won over the passionate obsession that there was for football in Scotland and the ability to galvanise people's talent and make them into world beaters.
The secret was good players. The fortunate thing for us was that it was before freedom of contract, and we reared them through the youth policy into the reserves and into the first team.
I mean, at that time, Dundee United, they had no option. They had to have a good youth policy because there was no funds to buy players. You know, players don't stay at clubs long enough. You know, and that was the manager's policy to get you on a long-term contract, which in a way worked very well for Dundee United. I mean, my contract's up next year, 20 year with a 20-year option or something.
You saw the talent, but then you didn't appreciate the fact until later just exactly how Jim McLean blended them together. And that was the mark of the genius of Jim McLean.
Jim's a very intense person. He's totally devoted to the game. It's a hard job, and I think he appreciates the job I've got. It's hard because it's hard to win things in Scotland against the old firm, you know.
Our two new firm protagonists may have been competing for honours as managers, but it wasn't the first time they'd squared up to each other.
McLean gets there first, though. It's Jim McLean, Ferguson fighting well.
We knew each other because we both played professionally, but the first time that I really met him was I went down to Largs for my second badge for coaching. Unfortunately, I had a room with Alec, and from then on we definitely were a lot more in touch with each other.
He stole all my ideas that day, but he tells you the other story, of course.
They were each single-minded. You know, I wouldn't go as far to say they would stab each other in the back, but you've got to remember that they had their own responsibilities, and that was the football club that they managed. So when push comes to shove and the chips are down, you know, you would stab them in the back if it's going to mean a victory, especially a title or a trophy, and who could blame them?
McLean was the first to strike, defeating Fergie's Aberdeen in 1979 to win the first of their two back-to-back League Cups.
That competition between the two of them actually sustained them, and that's what kept them going. That intense personal duel.
But since that early success, United seemed destined to play second fiddle to the Dons, who were now firmly cemented as the genuine league and cup contenders.
I didn't want anybody to usurp Aberdeen's dominance of the Old Firm. He said, look, if anybody's going to topple the Old Firm, it's Aberdeen, nobody else.
Was season 82-83 going to be different? Fittingly, the campaign kicked off with Aberdeen facing United at Tannadice.
And I don't think we could get a more ideal setting for the start of the league championship.
The first target was to win the league and then, take the cups as they came, but just to be as successful as we possibly could be.
Because we had won the League Cup in 79-80 and obviously the following season, things were taking shape for Dundee United.
2-0 and first blood to Jim McLean's Dundee United. Was this a sign of things to come? Perhaps. Yet no one could have imagined the amazing season about to unfold.
I think that they all knew that we were a threat to them, but I don't think they were expecting what was going to happen.
There was a hint in the air of Aberdeen going somewhere. Dundee United, where did they come from?
The future's bright. The future's tangerine.
Dundee was going through the same kind of industrial decline as Glasgow. But it's very quick into new industries, Dundee. I mean, actually, it was the place where quite a lot of the American electronics companies were based. Timex were there.
We have our computers built by you here in Dundee because you're the best people, as far as we're aware, to build them.
Dundee's a really, really interesting city. I mean, it's actually one of probably Scotland's great undiscovered cities. But it's football and the quality of the football players in there, it's almost second to none.
United, it must be remembered, didn't have the resources even of Aberdeen. They were playing to smaller crowds. They were very much the epitome of the provincial club. And of course, they had to divide, if you like, the city of football supporters with Dundee Football Club just up the road. So, a lot of the spotlight was on Aberdeen, it was on the Old Firm. Dundee United were kind of missing out.
Jim McLean and his men were determined this season would be different. Obligingly, rivals Aberdeen, unlike the school kids who no longer faced corporal punishment, were being belted in the league.
For a moment, I think Billy Cooper wanted a short one, but it is the long one. Then Johnson scored! 1-0. Earl with it, drives it really in. Hegarty is there, tails for a penalty.
The facade of new firm camaraderie was well and truly over. Dundee United heaped further misery upon the Dons by dumping them out of the League Cup.
When I get a fixture list, I was looking for that game. Whereas before you looked for Rangers against Celtic, but you were also looking for games involving Dundee United and Aberdeen, especially if they played each other. I don't think that Jim was telling his players that beating Aberdeen was crucial to any prospects they had of success in the league.
By September, and with 2 new firm wins under their belt, Dundee United turned their attention to Europe and the UEFA Cup, where they defeated both Dutch side PSV Eindhoven and then Viking Stavanger of Norway 3-1 on aggregate.
Definitely more suited to play in Europe because they were very good at playing away from home and keeping possession of the ball.
A lot of folk hated it the way we knocked about. To Dundee fans, they go, Morris Malpass, it's Morris back pass.
We could pass the ball, we could keep the ball, we could defend well. Ralphie Mullen's pace, Paul Sturrock's pace, always caused teams problems.
It was just one win after another, and it wasn't just them winning, it was the way they were winning. They were dominating sides that in many ways were bigger names than them.
McGarvey, Nicholas, schitterende bewegingen van Charlie Nicholas.
Unfortunately, league leaders Celtic weren't faring as well. After a classic performance in their beloved European Cup against Ajax, they failed to keep it up, succumbing to Real Sociedad. But Celtic's problems paled into insignificance against Europe's off-field battles. The Cold War was heating up. In the West, people marched to save their souls, whilst Reagan looked to the heavens for an answer.
Give us the means of rendering these nuclear weapons impotent and obsolete.
Aberdeen's very own Red Army were putting domestic troubles aside in the European Cup Winners' Cup and were about to experience life firsthand on the other side of the Iron Curtain.
As they had on May Day, thousands of demonstrators congregated outside St John's Cathedral in the old part of Warsaw.
It was an adventure none of us had been to. Albania, then Poland. You could see a big entourage of military people at a lot of the away games, and certainly in the Eastern Bloc, more so the Eastern Bloc. And it was, again, just fascinating. So it was a smashing adventure, but it was the football education.
With Gordon Strachan making the opening for Peter Weir to sidefoot home the perfect chance.
Having failed in 11 attempts since 1967 to reach the quarter-finals of any European competition, Aberdeen finally achieved their goal in November against Lech Poznan of Poland.
It was full of evidence that we were a good side and we should start believing that, and individually we had nothing to fear.
Aberdeen returned to domestic matters, and another new firm derby 3 days later. And unbeaten in the league, Dundee United were about to reap the whirlwind of the Dons' European success.
We started the season well, and it was one of the ones maybe we thought, well, we're going to win every game, or this is easy.
That's a good one, looking Goff.
I think I've put us 1-0 up at Pittodrie with a header, and I can think Mr Ferguson was going mad yet again. Yeah, we crumbled that day.
That evening, just something went wrong.
And there it is, the equaliser, Neil Cooper. There it is, Rugby.
Our games against United were quite open, and I don't think there was too much defensive tactics with United and Aberdeen over the years.
It's up again, there's Rugby. Oh dear.
5-1 then, we must have been pretty crap on the day, or they were brilliant. I maybe had a bad day that day.
That's a touch and straight through by Black.
It was very psychological to win a game against your biggest rivals, that kind of scoreline.
He tries to put it in and has. Oh, a delightful goal.
It was difficult for us. But it probably brought us back down to earth and was another motivational factor for John McLean to try and spur us on again.
That was a lesson for us, and it wasn't going to happen again.
How can a government urge the people to save and build for tomorrow? It brings in more money, and it stimulates new treatments and techniques.
Would you like to earn an extra 2%?
It wasn't just bad results that stimulated this United team. Jim McLean had a trick up his sleeve, cunningly taking a leaf out of Maggie's book with Greed is Good.
Interested?
If you wanted to make good money, you had to be in the first team, so you had to have that hunger to get in the first team.
Stevens trying to drop back. This must be, yes. 1-0, Glasgow.
They knew their best chance of winning the bonuses, which are crucial to a good wage packet because they're very low basic wages and high bonuses, they had to win the games.
Flicked away though. McPherson, the touch by Cooper, and he scored. The equaliser by Cooper.
Most certainly our players had to win the games to more or less double their salary.
You weren't getting great wages, you had to fight for everything you got.
That's a header down and it's in. 2-1 for Rangers. That's a good looking shot, and who's coming up with it? The equaliser by David Dodds.
That was Jim McLean's philosophy that, a hungry boxer's a good boxer, and it worked.
Golf will let fly, and he does beautifully. Oh, superb goal.
There was all incentives to win, and you had to do that because the basic wage was, basically it was crap.
It had the desired effect. Dundee United bounced back from the Dons' hammering with 25 goals in 7 games. They now not only sat second in the league, but had matched Aberdeen in Europe, qualifying for the UEFA Cup quarter-finals by defeating Werder Bremen in December, much to Jim's delight.
Players are paid far too much for appearing. Frank Sinatra appears and doesn't sing anything, so do you think he got the same money?
Down to earth at Templeton.
With the new firm trying to outdo each other in the league and Europe, it may have looked like the power was shifting north. But back in the big smoke of Glasgow, there was life in the old dog yet, as the two behemoths, Rangers and Celtic, prepared to do battle for the season's first cup.
But you always felt getting a trophy early, it sets you up to go and win the title.
No problem. Inside it goes. And Nicholas does it again. Across the far side, McAdam is there. McKinnon very determined.
It's a fantastic day. Going to Hampden, winning a cup final was just really special. I scored a goal in it, so that makes it more special.
This time to Bet. Flighted in. Bet does it, and Rangers are back in the match.
I think you always have that feeling in your head that if you can win the first one, there's no reason you can't win the next two.
Rain takes the throw, and there goes the final whistle. Celtic have won the first domestic honour.
As the year ended, Championship leaders Celtic, with their first League Cup since 1975, were again proving to Aberdeen and Dundee United that they should never be underestimated. Would the second half of the season prove to be that of the old or the new firms?
10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to 1983. Yeah!
Something they don't know. Curry's sale is now on. Save £20 on Philips Colour TV.
A happy new year. Not for Dundee United. After a successful first half of the season, they were soon coming a cropper, with losses to Aberdeen and Rangers, and subsequently relinquishing second in the league to the Dons. They would go on to top the league by February and remain unbeaten until March.
Well, I think we lost the games. It was a bit of a, well, here we go, it's another season, we'll finish, third or fourth or something.
It was all a case of could Jim McLean get them back on the rails, and that was, that was a big question.
Now McAvenny has a chance in the left.
The cup was always one of the things that we thought was our best way of winning silverware.
Down till McAvenny with McDougall. Sumner coming in. St Mirren go in front.
So to get beat by St Mirren was a sore one for us.
I don't think anybody believed at the turn of the year that Dundee United were going to be champions. They'd had their run. They'd had their impact. A lot of clubs do that from time to time in short bursts.
Oh, it's come in. It must be. Nicholas, the cheekiest
Well, certain members of the media, probably west of Stirling, were convinced that the bubble would burst.
2 minutes of the first half remaining. Eamon Bannon. What brilliant save!
But the bottom line was that this was a different Dundee United side than I'd seen over a lot of years.
The bounce, and he gets it back and he scores. David Ross.
The best clubs in the country have these hiccups throughout the season. It's what you do after it, and the reaction that Jim McLean got from his players was positive ones, and obviously we went from strength to strength.
Chance across for Bannon. Milne is there, and that's a great goal for United. Ralph Milne makes it 4-1.
But just as the domestic front was once again taking off for Dundee United, they crashed out of Europe at the hands of Bohemians Prague in March. Aberdeen were now Scotland's only representatives in Europe, but having had a relatively easy route to the quarter-finals, they were now about to do battle with German football aristocracy in the shape of Bayern Munich.
I think if Aberdeen fans were being absolutely honest, they would have thought that the Bayern Munich tie was the end of the road.
This assumption was based on a game that took place 2 years previously. Fergie and his players knew all too well the perils of top-class opponents, having been humbled by Liverpool in the 1981 European Cup.
The game against Liverpool was certainly an embarrassment for the club and may well have been an embarrassment for Alec Ferguson.
Neil will score. What a goal!
Really was men against boys that night.
The knocks we had developed our character, individually as a group, and then we could handle anything that was thrown at us later on.
Dalglish, it's 3-0.
We were learning in the previous years, but that learning process I think we put to good use this time round.
I remember thinking, this is the hardest, this is going to be seriously difficult, you know. But when they drew the first leg 0 each in Munich, people were getting to think, oof, they might do this here.
Munich was saying we always score away from home. We're just as dangerous away from home on a counter-attack, and so it proved.
So the match kicks off in the most magnificent atmosphere for a European night.
It just seemed to be a noise from start to finish. And sorry, I'm wrong in that. It was a noise until they went to lead, then it was like deadly.
Augenthaler's probably, I would say, he's definitely the best striker the ball I've ever played against. And he hit one that night, he didn't half hit it.
Augenthaler looking for a chance to shoot. Augenthaler with a marvellous goal. Stunned silence all round the stadium.
I must admit, for a minute or two, you felt deflated, because there wasn't anything you could do about it. When you're playing against top quality players and they produce it, then there isn't too much you can do about it. But I don't think we ever lost the belief that we couldn't turn it round.
That's a great cross. Eric Black is there. It's off the line. No, it's played in by Simpson. And Aberdeen are level. Petotri comes alive.
Fans got back on our side again, and we reacted to that. But we kept going anyway, which was great. That's what that team had. Had an inner drive installed by the manager.
Now Dremler.
It crossed away to the back, and I didn't expect him to shoot. And I'd switched off for a second, which was the cardinal sin.
And that is a special goal coming in from Flugler.
We've stuck a couple of cracking goals past us. It's up to us to stand up to that and drive ourselves on.
Trying to get on the end of the flick on from McGee. Feels for handball. Yes, he's given the free kick.
The ploy was for the Germans to drop their guard, and then us to be on the alert and get off our markers just for a split second. And that's what happened.
We still believe to this day that it was by chance, but no, it wasn't.
Master has a little chat with Strachan. Well, they couldn't agree, obviously. Strachan plays it in. The header finds the net. Alec McLean gives Aberdeen a chance.
Actually, I think it got us 2 goals, because I think they were still arguing about the equaliser when we scored the 3rd goal.
There's Eric Black. The goalkeeper knocks it out. It's in the net, and Aberdeen are in front. Sean Hewitt. Petotri goes berserk. 3 minutes ago, Bayern appeared to be costing through to the semi-finals, but Aberdeen would have none of it. Already taken, the final whistle goes. Aberdeen have won perhaps their greatest victory ever.
But the team that had just put Bayern to the sword were to come crashing down to earth a few days later, dealing a blow to their league aspirations.
Foraging forward. That's a nice ball. Milne, great goal. 1-0 for Dundee United. It's going a begging. That's the second one. Milne, 2-0.
By April, and with the finish line in sight, Aberdeen may have slipped to 3rd in the league, but had crucially booked a place in the European Cup Winners' Cup final by steamrolling Watershy of Belgium 5-1.
It's curled in very well, that's it.
Dundee United sat second, thanks to a great win over Rangers.
We were well tuned up. The manager had us 100%. And it's just a case of getting the breaks, but we deserve to win that game, definitely.
They now face the daunting task of 2 games in 2 weeks against league leaders Celtic. Dundee United knew that to win the league, you had to win in Glasgow.
Thought a lot of people wrote us off, 3 points behind. I don't know how many games, 5 or 6 games to go, something like that. And people were saying, no chance.
Licking their wounds from that defeat, Dundee United bounced back to beat St Mirren 2-1. The stage was set for a make-or-break return to paradise.
I was going out there thinking, I don't fancy this. And then as soon as you get out there and you see the atmosphere, and my mind totally changed. I said, right, let's go.
Jim McLean had learned from the first game, and he mapped out all his instructions, and the players adapted to them to the letter on that particular night.
Fortunately, we had a lot of players in the team. Richard Gough would kick his granny to win, actually.
We were 2-1 up. And I got in an altercation with Davy Provan. He kind of jumped, he fell on me, and he was on the ground, and he was trying to headbutt me or something, and I reacted.
Stupid retaliation, any retaliation is stupid, to be absolutely honest.
The referee came over 60,000 men, all of a sudden I'm off, with I think 20 minutes to go.
United now down to 10 men.
I was in the dressing room by myself, and I heard a huge roar at Parkhead. I thought, oh no, we've got the goal.
You still want to go and get victory, because that victory would have probably punished them and put them out of any chance of winning.
I like bad losers because at the end of the day, you knew that you were going to get 100% from the players, and we had a lot of bad losers, and that was a big advantage to us.
That's the things that, make or break you, and to do what we did, with 10 men on their home patch is a tall order.
Typical Celtic teams want to go forward all the time, and then maybe 89th minute, it was Ralph Milne nicked a winner.
Went straight over the top of Batty Bonner. The whole stadium went deadly silent. It was like there was nobody watching there.
Like Ferguson said to me one time, we need you, you need me. I says, what do we need you for? He says, we need you to beat Rangers and Celtic, and you need me to, us to beat Rangers and Celtic. And he was 100% right.
When the people who are chasing the league title with you beat you at home, it's a disaster.
Free kick taken by McMaster. Rugby's up. A chance for McGee.
With Alex Ferguson's words ringing in Jim McLean's ears, Aberdeen followed up United's great win with their own defeat of Celtic.
Oh, Sturrock, and that's it.
3 further wins would see Dundee United sitting atop of the league for the first time that season by 1 solitary point. But before the league could come to its dramatic conclusion, there was the small matter of a European Cup Winners' Cup final in Gothenburg. The 11th of May 1983, the European Cup Winners' Cup final. Aberdeen's Granite City may well have been renamed the Empty City, as everyone and more set sail for Gothenburg.
Is this exciting enough for you?
I think everybody went, even the people that didn't go were there, because everybody you speak to in Aberdeen was in Gothenburg.
As David once squared up to Goliath, so Aberdeen were about to face the giant of world football, Real Madrid. A game of biblical proportions awaited.
Good evening and welcome to Gothenburg. The conditions here really are deplorable. The torrential rain which has fallen all day has made conditions very difficult indeed.
We went in the tunnel that night and lined up side by side, and we were their usual typical Scottish roars, get right into them and all that stuff. I looked at them and I thought, these guys are genuinely apprehensive.
We didn't fear anybody. We respected everybody, but didn't fear anybody.
A lot of us weren't arrogant people, but when you've got a belief that you're a good player, you can show that arrogance on the pitch. Nobody had any slightest doubt in their mind that we were going to win.
The match about to start. Real Madrid start the European Cup Winners' Cup final, Aberdeen's first ever European final, and the match now underway. Camacho for Real Madrid on the far side. Black is waiting at the far post for the cross. Is Eric Black? Marvellous effort from Black. The danger's not over, but it's behind now.
Again, a set play worked for us. Something we'd practice again. That comes in hand.
So a dream start for Aberdeen.
Having been instrumental in setting up Aberdeen's good.
I said before the game in the dressing room, look guys, the conditions, you're going to have to lift the ball, because if you hit it along the grass it's going to stick.
Tidy, but it's kill for Real.
Talking to Big Alec McLean before the game and saying that we need to watch the pass backs. That really worked, didn't it? Nowadays I'd have been sent off and would have been down to 10 men, so I didn't even get booked for it in the days, so times have changed. But
I don't think there's much there at all. That was a penalty.
I'd been down to 10 men and I was off. You know, it could have been another story altogether.
And a very unhappy.
It was obviously a setback, but that team had a lot of character, and as we proved.
Maybe a substitution will be made for Aberdeen. Eric Black limping off. The replacement is John Hewitt, and if he can make the impact...
Like two prize fighters, Aberdeen and Real Madrid slugged it out in the rain for 90 minutes. Would missed opportunities come back to haunt the Dons?
Moves once again, that header from Eric Black, which almost won the match. Saw a striking shot a moment or two ago.
With legs tiring, penalties looming, and only 7 minutes of extra time remaining, destiny demanded one last effort from Fergie's Warriors. Cue a certain super sub called Hewitt.
Johnny was incredible. I mean, there has been players over the years, not too many, who can come on as sub and change a game. Don't know if Johnny knew how he did it, but he always just seemed to be in the right place and the ball fell.
An organised goal, then we finished off with a brilliant goal, and I think that summed up Aberdeen at the time. When we wanted to be, we were very functional, but when we wanted to play, we could play as well.
There goes the final whistle. Aberdeen have won the European Cup Winners' Cup. And the celebrations now begin, both on the field and off.
You know, it's a fabulous memory, and if you were there, then I think that will stay with you the rest of your life, and certainly if you've lifted the trophy like I did, then it will.
As Willie Miller holds aloft the European Cup Winners' Cup, and now all Scotland can rejoice.
The Scottish Championship we won 2 years earlier was lift-off, but to win the European Cup Winners' Cup would be the individual highlight.
Proud of them. I mean, it's their day. It's their day.
They played like champions, didn't they?
Unbelievable. Really, it was just a matter of getting them in the half-time and sorting one or two things out and slotted them after that.
Aberdeen, with a European Cup Winners' Cup sitting on the sideboard, had thrown down the gauntlet to rivals Celtic and Dundee United. All three teams were in with a shout on the final day, but it was the Terrors that held the aces. Could Jim McLean's boys hold their nerve and become league champions? All they had to do was cross the road to Dens Park and defeat city rivals Dundee.
That was their holy grail. That was our place to play. That was our hander. 100 yards up the road from Tannadice was our national stadium.
We knew damn fine that they were going to be fighting to give us a doing as well, you know, so it wasn't a case of anybody's going to lie down. This was one thing that if they could have beat us, that was one game they were wanting to beat us.
Part of the Dens Park was see Tangerine, and obviously we had to deliver.
It was just one of these days that no one, certainly on the Tangerine side of the city, will ever forget.
A really massive crowd in here, making a tremendous noise. You can see the feet quite still, no sign of twitching nerves as we kick off.
I can remember in the morning, I said to my father, I said, Dad, I'll score today. I just remember Paul Sturrock played it through to me. And I poked it through Stuart McKinnon's legs. And I looked up, just saw him off his line, and I thought, I'm going for it.
Wriggles clear. Might just get the chip, and he does. He's scored. Oh, what a great goal!
Ralphie Milne's superb goal after 4 minutes gave United a dream start from where they went on to boss the game.
Sturrock nearly goes down. Penalty kick. Bannon against Kelly. He saved it. That's it, though.
I made a belief that I would not score at 2-0 up. I could shut up shop and win the game.
With United 2-0 up, rival Celtic's league challenge was looking all but over at Ibrox.
So then there's a flicker, it's a goal. Cooper will claim the crown. 16 minutes gone. Got down, chance for McKinnon. It was deflected. It's a goal. McKinnon's shot deflected by Clark. 2-0, 23 minutes.
The light blues of Rangers may have been helping United, but the dark blues of Dundee weren't about to do the same.
He's done it. 2-1. 28 minutes of the first half gone, and Dundee suddenly back in business.
Sturrock again. And there goes the half-time whistle. As I said,
Jim McLean had said before the game, he's not going to tell us anything about the score from the other game.
It was vital that we concentrated on what we were doing, and they got the right result.
Someone shouts, yes, Rangers are up 2-0, so we're all like, fucking brilliant,
well, as we start the second half, they must realise that with Rangers 2 up at half-time at Ibrox, that the championship is even nearer, and I wonder if that has got through to the players.
That was probably the time I really felt, by the way, we could win today. We could win the league today. That's probably the time I've actually said to myself, oh.
Rangers 2 ahead.
But the champs Celtic weren't quite ready to abdicate their league throne just yet.
Referee indicating a penalty, I think, for that challenge.
I just reminded the players of what people were going to think about them if we didn't get up off our backsides and do something about it.
2-1.
All to their credit, they got up off their backsides and they did something quite spectacular.
The back header, it's in. McAdam scores. 2-2. McCarthy, goal. Celtic lead 3-2. Rangers 2, Celtic 4.
Sinclair.
The last half hour was just hard going because the old clock in the corner at Dens Park, I think most of the players thought it stood still. It was tough.
Sturrock turns superbly. Bannon inside. Yes, Sturrock, will he get the touch?
Very nerve-wracking. It would have been easier to be on the park rather than off the park at that time.
Kept shouting to the dugout, how long, come on, and nobody was shouting to me, and I'm like, oh no, this game's never going to finish here.
I can remember Henry turning around shouting to somebody, how long is left, and the clock's right behind them. Great big clock.
About 40 seconds remaining.
I don't think a particularly great game that day, but he's bothered.
Eyes on the referee, it's gone, that's it, the finish. United have done it for the first time in their history.
Loads of emotions go through your mind at the moment. You're just probably relieved and delighted in that context.
Oh, thank Christ that's over, like, being honest here.
I can remember a couple of boys crying, the older ones. I said, no, it's all right, we'll win this again next year, don't worry, you know what I mean, we'll be fine, you know.
It was a fantastic time for me, and I think it was a fantastic time for the supporters.
Jim McLean and Dundee United had, against all the odds and expectations, become Scottish champions.
More important for me personally was to see the players achieve what they deserved with the work that they put in, and I can now say that but I don't think I ever said it during my career as a manager, because I was always worried about the next game rather than the one that has just passed.
For Aberdeen, having run so desperately close all season, there was the consolation, if consolation was needed, of the Scottish Cup. But after a torturously long season fighting on many fronts, the game wouldn't be pretty, nor the aftermath.
And Eric Black gets the goal, which will surely win the cup for Aberdeen.
A disgrace of performance. But I'm okay in winning cups, doesn't matter. Their standards have been set long ago, and we're not going to accept that from any Aberdeen team. There's no way can we take any glory from it.
I'm sure he'll regret his dying day saying it, but you know, it did leave a bad taste in a lot of players' mouths. At the end of what was an unprecedented season, that'll never happen again.
The two East Coast rivals had done it. Between them they had battled and won domestic and European honours. A new chapter of Scottish football history had been written. Season 1982-83 was undoubtedly that of the new firm.
It was a family kind of occasion, because everybody grows up together, and the fans seem to grow up with us together. And it was just a big family occasion where everybody enjoyed themselves.
It doesn't sink in at that moment. It's only later on you realise a small provincial club, Aberdeen, toppling giants.
It just goes over in a flash. I'm sure we, Jim, and a lot of my ex-colleagues would have loved to have sampled it and enjoyed it, because, you know, it goes over in seconds.
Come on, one sip. Thanks very much. 2 sips in your football career. I repeat the famous words, Miller, close your eyes.
Crabbit. I don't think it's important how I'm remembered. I just feel that I was part of what the players did, and they did a fantastic job, and I hope that I did no bad job as well.